People have started wondering why there's so much silence regarding the Neil Gaiman controversy, and it's not just media outlets choosing to not report on it on their own websites. It's the fact that social media is largely silent about this. And there's a reason for that, it turns out. There is a full-on PR campaign going on to flood social media with just talk of the Sandman Netflix series, Good Omens, things like that, to try to make sure that this just is swept under the rug and goes away. Well, we're not going to let that happen. I'm going to keep coming out with content as new content comes out and make sure that this story gets heard and these women's voices get heard as this absolutely creepy stuff's gone down, my friends. And it needs to be seen from this male feminist icon within the comic book and book publishing industry that's so much clout. The industry is just shaking about it and trying their hardest to plug their ears and make it go away. All right, my name's John Delarose. I am the most trusted name in science fiction fandom, as well as a #1 best-selling author. I would love for you to check out my books. This is the Arian War Trilogy right here. You can get all of it on Amazon. The Stars Entwined, Stars Asunder, and Stars Rejoined, for a beautiful story. We set all this up and created a wonderful world for you that's a great alternative to things like Star Trek, Babylon 5, or Star Wars. You'll really enjoy this. It's in the description below. Thank you guys so much for supporting our book so heavily this month. It's been a lot to me as an author. We don't have the PR machine behind us that Neil Gaiman has. It's all word of mouth from readers like you, and I appreciate you guys picking things up. Again, that's in the description below, and do hit the like and subscribe button. Join us here in our community as we talk about what matters in pop culture. All right, so I came across this post the other day, which is pretty funny. This guy says, another reason for sharing victim and victim-adjacent stories can be seen on X, where the latest Gaiman search yielded 18% victory lapping anti-woke douche bros, 21% Delarose Vox Day scum spam, and 28% obvious Edendale Strategies Neelaganda. Now, this is pretty interesting because most of the discussion around this is, again, me, Delarose, on here, because I'm the only person consistently reporting on what's going on. Now, these guys are such shills and such political hacks within science fiction and all this that they really don't care that we're doing the good work and actually getting these women's stories out there. You'd think we'd be heroes to them for telling the truth, but the fact that they hate us is more important to them than actually making sure that this comes out there, that the evidence is exposed, that these women get their due. They really actually hate us more than they hate the fact that Neil Gaiman might be a sexual predator. It's so weird. It's such a strange psychology, but this is the way the SJWs work. It's all about the political clout structure, and that's exactly why it's been so hard to get the Neil Gaiman situation to light to begin with, because the political structure actually went out and has said as much as this needs to be swept under the rug. I have contacts in the mainstream comic book industry. There was a stand down order about this. It was ordered not to be mentioned by a lot of comic pros, even though a lot of people out there have stories where they could tell you that this guy's a manipulative, crazy creep. They are not allowed to talk about it if they're working for like DC Comics or Marvel Comics. Or any of the big publishers. They're supposed to remain silent on it. Now, with that amount of pressure and force in there, that means all of the subsidiaries of all these companies that get access to Marvel and DC Comics or Disney or Netflix or Prime Video are also not going to report on it because they are in a position where they're bound contractually to get information from these companies in order to get it out there. And if they, speak out against one of these companies' cash cows, they're not going to get that access anymore. So I'm one of the few people in independent journalism who can just do this because I don't care about clout. I don't care if these people accept me. I don't need them. And I can actually speak the truth. And so instead of just going, hey, this is a good thing, follow JDA, follow Fandom Pulse, instead, they say, you know what, this guy's bad, and they further suppress things. But things are being suppressed by an unnatural algorithm, it turns out, as well. And this is something that's going on across the industry. And by the way, if you've not heard what's happened with Neil Gaiman, because this has all been so suppressed, I should mention that he's got 6 different women who have accused him of different sexual assault or sexual misconduct, including 2 who were his employees of some sort, a nanny/babysitter, who he got into a tub with within hours of meeting with her, and she says degraded her and worse. And he says they were just cuddling in the tub. Number 2 was a woman who lived on his property, who was the wife of a landscaper who he allegedly made do sexual favors in order to maintain her rent there and stay there on the property without getting kicked out. Very crazy stuff. That's, of course, a big violation of laws if it turns out to be true. Now, he's just been silent. If you look at Neil Gaiman's social media, he's got nothing since this all came out. He's trying to just quietly disappear, hoping this blows over so that things can just go back to normal. He can go back to being a rock star again. But it's not happening because there's just too many 6 women now. So this woman, Moniza Hossein, who is actually an author, came out and actually broke this story, which I want to amplify here, about bots like being out there and basically flooding social media with pro Neil Gaiman propaganda. Now, this is a standard tactic. I've seen it all over the media. There's a fellow named Master of the TDS on Twitter who breaks a lot of these stories, and he's shown that like over the last few years, like Disney, Prime Video, different video game companies, all have employed PR firms that have a bunch of bots on Twitter that just like go, oh, The Acolyte is the greatest show ever, to try to flood social media, to try to counter the actual fans talking about how they hate the show. And they try to do this so that when search results come up, it comes up with these positive posts rather than comes up with something else. Because if you have more and more content on a certain level, the algorithms of these social media platforms, Google, etc., all go, okay, this is probably the most relevant data because this is the one being talked about the most. That's the attempt that they have here. And this seems to be what's going on with Neil Gaiman. If you look into it right now, I mean, there's a lot of this going on. So this one is clearly a comment that she highlights that's very much not human written. One of the best Netflix shows of the last 2 years, the Sandman TV series, turned author Neil Gaiman's dream for a worthy live-action adaptation into reality in mid-2022. Reads exactly like an AI would write about this. Indeed, it has spent over 20 years in development hell before Netflix did something other studios had failed to do. It was an oh-so-nearly perfect retelling of Gaiman's famous works too, which I thoroughly enjoyed for multiple reasons. Its amazing cast performances, elaborate story, and mind-blowing visuals, just to name 3. With Sandman Season 2 currently in development, you've got time to double stop sleeping on this high fantasy program, so hop to it. Clearly not a real person, this Craig Cranberry. And you can see that there's a whole host of these. If you search Neil Gaiman on social media, this sort of thing comes up, and a bunch of bots pop up. The Sandman TV series, based on Neil Gaiman's graphic novel, was a hit on Netflix for the last 2 years. Captivating adaptation of Neil Gaiman's The Sandman, a visually stunning and well-acted series that stays faithful to the comics. Sandman TV series by Neil Gaiman on Netflix is a must-watch for fans of dark fantasy storytelling. You can tell that these are just not the way people talk. It is very obviously bots programmed to put this kind of content out there, and they're being employed in order to do this. It's very interesting. Now, it's been alleged that there is a firm behind this, and the firm behind this comes from, I lost the post. Fun, here it is. Okay. Apparently comes from a group called Edendale Strategies, who's a Neil Gaiman hired PR firm. And it's being alleged that Neil hired this PR firm after the controversies started happening in order to sort of revamp his image out there. And this is the group that is supposed to be putting out all these bots on Twitter. Interesting right there. So a quick Google search of Edendale Strategies, shows you this. They're a consulting firm focused on counsel and crisis management. So this is who they are. They help their clients hone and convey their messaging effectively, especially its high-stakes situations where there's little to no margin for error. As we do so, we work hand in glove with lawyers, C-suite executives, in-house publicists, and entertainment industry representatives to develop and implement complex and time-sensitive plans. Our focus is always on identifying and serving our clients' medium and long-term interests, as well as providing immediate assistance. Clients include Fortune 500, 100 companies, major civic institutions, prominent charities, as well as legendary sports franchises, high net worth individuals, and some of the world's most famous actors, directors, writers, and musicians. They were founded by Tony Feinberg. Oh, a Berg. Huh. It's an interesting name to notice. Nothing to do with Neil Gaiman and certain people. I'll edit this out, guys. He's a publicly recognized expert in the field of communications and an established record of success in crisis management and extensive award-winning experience in journalism, entertainment, and consulting. So you can see who this is, and you can see that it is a crisis firm. This explains why Neil Gaiman's gone completely silent. It's probably part of the strategy for him to just disappear. It explains why he canceled public appearances in the wake of this, and it looks like this is full damage control happening, and it looks like that it has been exposed as a weird bot scam to be pushing this. All right, leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure to check out my book, The Stars Entwined, and its 2 sequels, Stars and Sunder and Starred Rejoined, for a great trilogy. We'll be back soon.